Alright, I've got my streaming starting. Now I just need to wait for YouTube to wake up a little bit and load the chat on my iPad, and then we'll be good to go. So... again, don't know if anybody's going to stop by. Had one person say they would, but who knows if they're going to follow through on that. But without further ado, I've got the chat up. I do have it set to ultra low latency this time around. I'm hoping that will actually do something, but who knows. In the last stream, we fought the Dragon Rider in Hades and the Last Giant. And today, I think we're going to take on the Pursuer. And I'm not even going to bother with the early location. I'm just going to go the regular pace. Hey! Homer Hedgie is here. I am not alone. Off to a good start. So, as I kind of mentioned in the last stream, the Pursuer is kind of a wake-up call for me. Because if I'm in the zone and I am like well practiced, and I have the I've got the feeling in my fingers, then the Pursuer is usually pretty easy. But if I don't have the feeling, if I am out of practice, then he can be kind of a brick wall for me. So these guys are annoying. I hope they just kind of lose interest. Well, that guy didn't. And this guy is armored enough that I think I want a blunt weapon against him. But I'm not going to have that luxury. Oh no, my iPad went to sleep. Probably because I wasn't actually playing the video. So once I take care of these, I will open that back up. I apologize if you say anything in the chat while I am not looking. Okay, one more. Pull the stream back up. Actually have the video playing so that iPad does not go to sleep. And I guess switch over to the Morning Star. I am probably forgetting to grab some Estus Flask shards in my hastiness to go places and get through this quickly. And I do not remember off the top of my head where those shards are. Okay, these guys are just more durable. I'm sure there's one in the Forest of Fallen Giants somewhere, right? If anyone remembers off the top of their head where that is, please let me know. Alright, Pursuer. I think I probably just want to do a single heavy strike for each opening. That's my best bet with the amount of stamina I have. Now, luckily, the Morningstar is pretty good at bleeding opponents, so hopefully I'll get a little bit of bonus damage. Okay, so that's the attack you definitely want to avoid, because if you don't avoid it, he can start throwing dark magic at you. Messing up my stamina management there. Ah! Oh well. I think I got this guy pretty good. I'll probably get him next time. So there's a door, but is there an Estus Flask shard behind one of those doors? Oh, right, there's a shard in Majula. I'll grab that after I beat the Pursuer. Managed to overlook that one, which is a good sign for my mental state. I think I just want to stick with the Morningstar for now. So, two-shot these guys pretty well, it looks like. I know there's the key for that place over there. That's where I need to get my special hat, but I don't know if I want to go there quite yet. Just because it's got so many of the Iron Turtle dudes. These guys always mess me up. I could just charge. I think I'll do that. It's not like I'm really got a lot of souls at stake. Get away from the edge, dude. Alright, let's walk left. Probably shouldn't have gone for that. It was just lucky that he happened to stagger at that point. I was not walking left enough. I saw it at the corner of my eye. Ben, you're asking why potato. I think I've mentioned before on Twitter, at least, my upload speed is garbage. Takes me upwards of most of a day, like a clock day, 24 hours, to upload a video. So, attempting to stream at anything but potato quality just is not viable. But I do want to stream, because otherwise this would be a very lonely experience. So yeah, unfortunately... Okay, good. Ring blades. Unfortunately, upload speed, not great. Would love to have more. Yeah, I think potato quality is just like a... It's become lexicon when it comes to video or image quality. You know, I see it a lot with photos that people have taken. Sorry for potato quality. Effigies. Okay, yeah, it looks like the latency is actually quite low on this ultra low latency setting. And since I'm not streaming in 4K, I can do that. Is there anything back there? Okay, let's head back to Majula, grab that Estus flask shard, level up, and then do the thing. I'll probably want to go through No Man's Wharf next, I think, to get to the other entrance to the Bastille, because I do need to go through the wharf, and I think I also need to make sure I get to that blacksmith, because I need his hammer as well. I'm not entirely sure. We have, you know, Comcast Xfinity, which is what I have used at other locations without much problem with upload speed. That's what my family has, so I don't know if it's the router or if it's just not a good connection and my roommate hasn't said anything, because it's honestly fine for downloading. It's fine for streaming video, which is basically all she needs it for. Let's see. Get that up. Dump into strength. We'll even out strength and dex. And then kind of spread stuff evenly like that. Actually, why don't I see if I have any item souls? It's possible you have a cheaper bundle. Frankly, I can make it work. If I were trying to be, you know, make streaming a big thing, I would definitely try to do something about this upload speed. But, oh man, I need a lot more. Whoops. But, it's fine for now, and when I eventually, you know, live on my own, I will make sure that it is better. Okay, so let's go to No Man's Wharf. think these are mostly fleshy people, so... Oh, wait, oh, there are... Oops. There's some old iron knights, whatever they're called. By the way, I was looking at the video before, and it seemed very dark, darker than it was on my screen, so I'm pumping up the brightness. Hopefully that's a little bit better. There we go. No SS Flask shards down here, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna upload videos on my school's bandwidth. That's not a thing I'm gonna do. They monitor that. I'm sure students do it all the time, but... I mean, I know students do it all the time. They post stuff to Facebook. Forgot that guy was there. So Ben asks, how big of a problem is students using phones? The answer is, it is the problem. It is the single biggest problem. And so, to a certain extent, when they're doing independent work, you can encourage them to use their time effectively and tell them, hey, is this a distraction? And kind of start that metacognition aspect. You can be the dictator and confiscate everything, but that's not me. I don't have it in me to be that person. And ultimately, I kind of fall on the side of make an informed decision and make a smart one. And if you don't, that's on you. So, I mean, I've had conversations with students where it's like, hey, is that an effective use of your time? And they're like, no. And they keep watching. What's up, dog? I think I don't have a whole lot going in terms of torches, do I? This could be a little bit tricky. Come on. So Hedgie, I do need to beat the boss here, is the thing. Because I need the club you can make from its soul. So I do have to go through the whole place, unfortunately. Oh man, I'm not out, but I did completely run out before. Yeah, the build that I'm trying to recreate, if I recall the weapons correctly, it was either the blacksmith's hammer or the craftsman's hammer, whichever one you get from the blacksmith in Lost Bastille, and the barbed club, which is a weapon that you make from the Flexile Sentry Soul. That's the blunt weapons. Hey! And then, in terms of sharp weapons, slash weapons, I need the Black Steel Katana and the Uchi Katana. Neither of which I remember how to get. Yeah, Ben. Back when I was in high school, it was kind of on the cusp of using laptops and other such technology heavily integrated into the curriculum, and so we would take notes in history class on the computers, and the way that my history class was structured, at least, didn't do a very good job of monitoring the computer use. And it was basically, he put an outline of all his information on the board, and we would copy it down and then stop paying attention once we copied it all down. And, oh boy, I am not doing so well here. What if I did just, like, rush through? And I got A's in that history class. I beat Metroid Zero Mission in that history class. And now that we have phones that are much more subtle and just easy to carry around and a lot more flexible, it's quite a bit more difficult to really get a hold of. Hedgie, where is the Estus Flask Shard here? Can you remind me? Just so I can rush through, grab it, not really care about defeating things. I just want to open the shortcuts. Oh, I don't even have any Pharos Lockstones to activate the bell, do I? Or not the bell, the huge torch. Inside a chest in a stone house beneath the bell. Okay. So. Ugh. These guys are mega combo. So, I'm not a math teacher, obviously, Ben. Personally, I do find, especially when graphing is involved, that pen and paper is indispensable. But again, when I was in high school, we were first learning how to integrate technology and like smart boards and stuff like that. And it does present some new, more sophisticated opportunities for like doing stuff in front of the class. Like graphing calculator technology is now much more accessible. There is an app for that. You don't need a however expensive a TI-83 is, 100, 200, I forget. You just download an app, and because so many people have smartphones, that is a heck of a lot more accessible. Wolfram Alpha was just on the rise. I'm not sure if that's still a big thing, but like you could do some. You could plug something ugly into Wolfram Alpha, and it would show you the goal that you're getting to. It wouldn't show you the entire process, if I remember right, but it could show you what you're aiming for, which was often quite helpful. Yeah, Caterpie, I've been dying quite a bit, because I'm really just trying to rush through this area. I don't know if I made it clear when I was doing the video on this. I don't particularly care for the wharf. The managing of these things especially, not a fan. Let's see. Inside the chest in a stone house beneath the bell. It would be one of these houses, definitely. I wish I had a flame butterfly. But I'm definitely not going to try to carry a torch all the way here. Do I have any throwing implements so I can just aggro one of them? I don't think I do. Oh wait, yes I do. I have a witching urn. So, come on up. Follow me. Come on. Oh, I think they're both here. Aggroed now. Here we go. That didn't work. Tried to get the drop on one of them. Did not happen. And they are definitely both aggroed. Oh! I don't know if I knew we could backstab these things. Interesting. Oh! Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. So, Ben, generally with regards to the class not shutting up, in my particular experiences at this school in this job, I have only really had to deal with one or two students that would not shut up, in which case I can get them sent down to the office because they are disrupting the learning process for the rest of the class, and that is a justifiable reason to send them out. Generally, it hasn't gotten to that point too much. Especially once you get to high school, students tend to just play on their phones if they are choosing to not engage. Oh, right, you're a ninja. You know, occasionally, and again, I don't want to talk too much trash about particular students, occasionally they will try to get on your nerves by, like, playing extremely loud music without headphones while you're trying to talk to the class and give instructions, which is blatantly disrespectful. But again, that's usually just a particular student, at least in the group that I'm working with. In my time as a sub, there have definitely been times when half the class is off task, in which case, you know, you try to get somebody from the office to come down and, you know, be angry at them, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But, you know, there are certain things that are within your control as a teacher, and, you know, especially as a sub, the classroom culture in a particular class is not really in your control. And the overall school culture is only partially in your control as a fully fledged teacher. Okay, so I assume the shard is in there. It's in that house. So I don't think it's in here. Ben, I'm not the type to get yelly and shouty. That has happened. I can count it on one hand how many times that happened, and it's really the memory that sticks in my mind. It was like my first week or two of subbing that had happened. At this point, I have a lot of patience and can put up with a lot of nonsense. I don't get angry, I just get disappointed. I do have to raise my voice sometimes. Again, generally not here in this position, but as a sub I would have to raise my voice so that people could hear me over themselves talking. Okay, I gotta open that shortcut. Oh, I'm gonna meet up with Gavlon. I don't think Gavlon has anything that I want.
Who are you? What? With Gavlon?
I'm just got the Ring of Giants. I don't need that. I could sell some stuff I'm not using. Oh, not that. Not gonna need that. Not doing any shields. Definitely don't need that. Yeah, I'm not gonna worry too much about fashion, except for getting the items that are, of course, a mainstay of my wardrobe. I am going to lose some of my like wardrobe collection from the original playthrough, but that's all right. I don't need any of. Actually, I might want to hold on to that in case I need to grind for any items.
Many deal, many fad.
So, do I get this? Ben again asking the questions here, announcing for the chat, for people watching later, asks if I get this kind of training in college, or is it a skill you just kind of have to develop on your own? Generally, well, I mean, so I was an English major, not an education major. I don't know what education majors get, but in my master's program in grad school, by and large, my training was more on the curriculum planning and history of education and stuff like that. Much more the conceptual aspects. I had one classroom management class that, in all honesty, wasn't super helpful. It was all about, developing a classroom culture, and it was very touchy-feely, and I think, in many ways, disconnected from the realities of a classroom. But that is why you have student teaching. Because student teaching is boots on the ground, doing the work of managing classrooms and teaching students, and that's where I learned most of my classroom management. And, you continue to learn it over the first 30 years of your career. It's something that you never really stop learning. I definitely missed the Estus flashcard. But, you learn, philosophies that can help guide your classroom practice in your teaching program. How conceptually do you feel towards and treat your students? You learn guidelines that are meant to guide you. Oh my god, poison! No! Butts! I opened the... I really could have done the second shortcut, honestly. I was so close to it. Oh well. I didn't get any poison moss from Gavlon, so that's probably what I should have bought from him. This is not what I want. This is not where I want it to go. Is this what I wanted? No, not really. There we go. This'll work. Hey. So this reckless playstyle is definitely costing me a lot of life gems. I was just about to ask if the ninjas were going to come back. There's the other one. At some point I should use the human effigy and get some health back. There we go. Right. This should be the shard. No, that's the Fragrant Branch of Yore. Is it in here? I hope that's it. Nope, that's just Titanite. Well, that's not it, right? You said it was in a chest, so. So here's my terrible secret about Dark Souls 2 is that I know a lot of it. I don't know all of it, even though I've played it quite a bit. There's a lot that I don't remember, and when I'm doing a video, I research quite thoroughly in advance, and like play through that section 2 or 3 times before I have a run I'm happy with. So I know it a lot better at that point than I do in a casual playthrough. So, time to try the Flexile Sentry with no healing items. I'll use a human. Nope, no I won't. I do have some life gems in there, actually. Well... how about I just die? And then I've got the second shortcut, I'll just run over and grab that on my way in. That's not what I wanted to put in there. So Ben asks how were finals. Today was the first day of finals. We still got some finals tomorrow. By and large, I'm satisfied. Oh, it's over here. So my sophomores have been working on a paper for the past 2.5 weeks, and most of them, and by that I mean a plurality of them, got it in on time. So that's good. The junior seniors have, they also have a paper due, but that was actually due a while ago. One of those periods is doing really well on that. Other period, not so much. They are trickling in. But those classes also had a final test on some Roman myths from Ovid's Metamorphoses that we read over the past couple weeks, and the class that took that today averaged about a C, which I'm satisfied with. I think that's a pretty decent average, I would say, considering that, we were reading translations of the original Latin, which, they're not necessarily the easiest. They're not super hard, but they're definitely not the easiest. So I'm satisfied with that. Freshmen worked real well. They had 2 separate paragraphs that they were working on over the past couple weeks, and they got those in, honestly, quicker than I expected. So I have most of those. Whoop. Not getting the timing on that last one. So again, I don't remember if I drew attention to it or even had to deal with it in the initial playthrough, but you can see the water level has risen up to waist level approximately, and I'm moving slower. So I think that's a fun, somewhat stressful, but not too... Oh my goodness, golly gracious. Let's use this pillar to our advantage. Luckily we can't, drown. This is the most trouble I've had on the Flexile Sentry in a while. Oh. Maybe worth grabbing my souls, going back and leveling up. Or using Human Effigy. But, well, since I'm so low on life gems, I feel like I should just try to get good. So, downside of Dark Souls 2 that I don't know if it fully comes into play in my video series because I reset if I have a bad run. Life gems, they're not a finite resource, but they're a resource you have to replenish. And if you struggle, it can be a poor get poorer situation. So what say I use Human Effigy. heavy doesn't combo into the light attack very smoothly. I think I just need to be a little more aggressive on this guy. I've never really looked at the tops of these guys' heads. It's kind of reptilian. Okay, let's get a barrier. Finish it off. Do I use the popsicle method of calling on students? So, yes, for anyone not familiar, the popsicle method is to have a cup of popsicle sticks. Each popsicle stick has a student name on it. I'll draw one at random in order to choose a student to answer a question. I haven't really been doing that in this group because I work with some pretty low proficiency students and students who don't have a whole lot of confidence, and I don't want to put students on the spot like that. I would rather have them share informally and perhaps jot down a note or two on paper that I can read later, rather than having them try to speak in front of the whole class. If I am going to have somebody speak, it'll probably be a representative from a group that is chosen by the group members. Like, I understand the value, definitely, of keeping everybody on their toes, but I've also had, in my experience, especially with these classes, students just, like, be like, and then I have to call on somebody else. Alright, there's our other entrance to the Lost Bastille. Let us return to Majula. Lose sleep over that missing Estus Flask shard. There. Two. Yeah, I never want to terrify students. And I want students to be able to express their ideas in whatever way is most comfortable for them. And for a lot of these students, that is not verbally. Some of them, yeah. Not all of them. Oh, I should let Lenegrast into his house. Oh man, I need the freaking Avalon, right? Was that a guaranteed thing that I pick up, or was that a random drop that I got really lucky on? That, like, triple shot crossbow that's super dope. There's one in the house in Majula, right? An Estus Flask shard? Or something? No, a Soul Vessel is what I'm thinking of. Oh, I don't have the key. I know how to get that, but I'm not going to bother. Estus Flask shard. Dull Ember. I think I already got the Dull Ember. Craftsman Hammer is the weapon that I need. Silver Serpent Ring, I believe I remember how to get that. The Shard, I don't. So... I think... Which way do I want to enter first? I think I want to go on this side first, because I can raise the gate thing. I think I'm going fleshy on these guys. Oh, but I've got a Pursuer to fight. Is that where the Estus Shard is? How much carry capacity do I have? I'll just do that. Oh, Ben has an actual Dark Souls question. Let's hear it. Hopefully I can answer it. It's a kind of long question, so I might read it after I fight the Pursuer here. Oh, Dark Souls Easy Mode is the question. Should it have one? I am a strong proponent of easy modes. Okay. Oh boy. So yes, Dark Souls should have an easy mode. The idea behind Dark Souls' difficulty is that it's supposed to be challenging but rewarding. The thing about difficulty is that what is oh god damn it. The thing about difficulty is that what is challenging to one person is easy peasy to another person. But, so, really you're supposed to be challenging the player at the level that they are at to give them that emotional sense of satisfaction, right? So, I guess it comes down to, is your goal to have the player completely master the mechanics, or is it to give the emotional sensation of that challenge? And, you know, in my mind, games as art, etc., it should be about that emotional experience. So, whatever is challenging for that player is the way to go. And if that means including an easy mode, great. I don't know if that was fully coherent, fully formed, but I want to draw a comparison to Celeste, which is a very challenging indie platformer that came out in January. I tweeted a little bit about it. How did those dogs open that door? And Celeste has this thing called Assist Mode. And Assist Mode basically allows the player to adjust the difficulty quite granularly and in quite small segments. I guess I'm going to have to go through those dogs first. They can slow down the gameplay in increments of 10%, from 100% to 50%, in order to help with lower reaction time. They can give themselves infinite grip strength if they need that moment to pause and think and consider while holding onto ledges. And it can also give you like infinite jumps. You know, there's an air dash thing I was about to completely skip over. what I meant to do. There's an infinite air dash function for assist mode as well. And it can be adjusted on the fly by the player to whatever level they need it to be. And I think that's a great way to approach difficulty. And I'll tell you what, Dark Souls 2 has a hard mode, because normal mode is too easy for some people, so they included the Covenant of Champions, which increases the health of all the opponents. So if you can have a hard mode, why not an easy mode? I think really the problem is the label of easy mode, because easy implies that it won't be challenging to anybody, when in reality it will be challenging to a certain demographic. And it can still provide that same emotional appeal that Dark Souls is so known for. And like, so Celeste, just because I want to talk about that game a little bit, I have beaten 7 levels of Celeste. I'm midway through the 8th, and it's very, very difficult. And I don't know if I'm ever going to turn on the assist mode in any way. I might not. But I'm fairly sure that with my reaction time and skill, putting in the time and energy necessary to complete all 24 levels of that game, which get even more difficult, would require such a time investment that I don't know if I want to put it in. But I can still get an immensely satisfying experience from giving myself a couple little easier assists. Oh, I hate these. So yeah, I am pro difficulty options, I guess is a way to put it. Yes, and Ben gives a very good point that I had in my mind. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring it up. Dark Souls has a lot more to it than difficulty. I think the difficulty is an important part of the Gesamtkunstwerk of the game. To be pretentious about it, the overcoming adversity and working through times of difficulty and remaining strong in times of oppression, I think resonates with a lot of the aspects of the atmosphere and world building for Dark Souls. But there's so much to the game that is not just, hey, can you dodge this one move reliably for like 15 minutes? Once we got to like the Dark Souls 3 DLCs, I started summoning, and there was one boss, Midir, who I never beat. And frankly, fuck Midir. Midir is a fucking god-awful boss.
What is it?
I could put in the emotional time and effort to defeat Midir. I don't think it would be rewarding. I'd much rather the game have an option to, like, give Midir half health. Then maybe I'd be able to defeat it while still having that experience of dodging a laser-breathing dragon. There's still ways to give that emotional resonance without just being cruel and mean and frankly tedious. Like, Midir has a lot of really good spectacle to the fight. And I'm sure defeating a laser-breathing dragon is super cool. But it would be super cool if it had, like, half the health. The only time I've ever really seen the advantage of having a super high health boss fight is the extra special final boss of No More Heroes, wherein you have to hit him 900 times, which is... The entire point is that it's tedious and terrible and garbage. And I mean, I don't think it's a good boss fight, but they were clearly going for something emotional with that tedium. That was not just, it's difficult. Homer, you said things about the Estus Flask Shard basically amounting to, it's hard to explain, so I guess I'm just gonna play through the area and see what I can come up with. Now, it's time for the garbage barrel. Oh, I didn't have any arrows, did I? Oh, I do. I have fire arrows. Let's see if I can aggro this guy and not have him frickin' slash the barrel. I don't know. This encounter is still bad. In fact, I don't think I'm supposed to aggro him. I think I'm supposed to... Well, I'm not supposed to aggro him from a distance. I should get his attention and then draw him over. Hey. No! There we go. Okay, come on. Okay. This barrel is bad. It's a bad barrel. You see? It hit the wall and didn't explode. And where is it now? Is that it? I'm not sure. Now, I have the fire arrows, and, oh, yes, I can wiggle it. I have the fire arrows, so I can cause it to detonate from afar. That should work. Oh. There we go. It's the most success I've had with that barrel. And I think I was wrong about the gate. Yeah, it's on the other side. I forgot. But let's get our craftsman's hammer at least. Yeah, apparently Nintendo Direct tomorrow, it somehow hasn't been exploding over my Twitter feed. So, I don't know, I don't have super high expectations for it. Seems like a lot of people are hoping for a Smash port, but I'm basically over Smash, I think. Really, if they wanted to knock my socks off, they would show me Pokemon Switch, but they're not going to do that, I don't think. Oh, he sells the Uchi. Okay, thank you for reminding me where to get the Uchi. So let's give him the Ember. This might be a little expensive for me at this point. I forget. Oh, it's 5,000. I can do 5,000. There will probably be some footage of Hyrule Warriors. Which, I mean, I still have that on Wii U, so don't really feel a need. I didn't even finish the DLC that I bought for it on Wii U, so I don't really need a complete edition. Alright, can I... How much do I need? 2,500 to buy that. And... Okay, so I need about 3,800. I think I have the souls for that. Yeah. Alright, so I now have an extremely strong Uchigatana. And I've upgraded that Craftsman Hammer as much as I can for now. I probably do need to seek out some crystal lizards if I want to get my Craftsman Hammer up. Do I have enough strength for this thing yet? Okay, two-handing I do. So let's... Do I need to go around the other... Is there anything for me on the other... Is this the Estus Flask Shard? I think it might be. Alright, so I've got strong Uchi. Let's get rid of the bow and arrow. I guess my next priority will be strength, so I can one-hand that hammer. Oh, I'm getting a text. Ah! Let's see what this text is all about. Possible family trip. I'd be interested, but I'm busy streaming right now. And streaming comes before family. Oh man, this Uchi is hella good! Now, let's... Oh, you're running away. Probably need Twinkling from that guy. So I should hunt him down at some point, but... That barrel just disappeared into the void. What's up, dog? Look at that. Look at that. I should just one-hand things for now. Hey, Jeff. Good to see you again. Yes, I got a flask. Good. Oh my god, dog. Okay, well, why don't we go around the backside here? I think I can skip the sentinels if I wanted to, although they are a good source of souls. So I probably won't. That's the danger of those guys. Yeah, I feel like on the subject of Smash Brothers, I got Smash Brothers 4 on Wii U when it came out, and I played it for a while. I thought it was alright, but I didn't have anything to keep me coming back. I didn't enjoy the gameplay intrinsically enough to keep playing it, and I don't know, maybe I was just bad and the people in my dorm were way better than me. But I didn't get a whole lot out of playing it with my dorm mates, so. Should make Smash Brothers more like Dark Souls, clearly. Open. I think I'm just gonna go for the Sentinels route. Oh, I didn't open that shortcut. I should do that. Also, I can't think of many interesting additions to the Smash Brothers roster that they could do, other than Nintendo Labo and ARMS. Oh, Splatoon, yeah, that's true. Yeah, Splatoon could have some neat gameplay. Yeah, Subspace Emissary in Brawl, you know, it's, as single-player stories go, it's kind of, whoops, that's not what I, you know, it's not the most engaging, and I think the level design got a little bit uninspired, especially later on. But it had a story, and I enjoyed unlocking characters through the process of that story. And I mean, if we're still going with the conceit that Smash Brothers is a kid playing with Nintendo figurines, I think a ridiculous story where, oh no, Zelda is evil now, I think that's a good way to go about it. And, like, Snake comes in at a dramatic moment. He's like, hey, kept you waiting, huh? It's, like, exactly how a story for that kind of game should work, I think. Ooh, look at all those enemies. Let's kite them. Now I could... I should summon. It'll make my life easier, so. I want Belclair, right? Yeah. Here we go. Oh, I forgot which side he was on. So, Belclair is super useful. because she has spells that do a lot of damage and can hit from far off. Oops. Apparently Dark Souls 3 has some retcon about the Ruined Sentinels. I don't frickin' remember. I don't like Dark Souls 3 very much. One. Here we go. So yeah, having Belclair is so useful. One, because she has the strong spells. Two, she can pull aggro, which in a boss fight with 3 different enemies is definitely useful. So Ben is noticing probably my Steam playtime for Dark Souls 3. I've played through it twice. Once in the initial playthrough, once with DLC. And, like, I think this goes back to the difficulty conversation we were having. Especially later on, it was asking very specific, like, performance from me that I wasn't really willing to give. Especially the DLC bosses. There's notoriously, in the first DLC, Sister Frieda is a 3-stage boss fight. Like, you fight Frieda, and then the health bar refills, and you fight her along with a second enemy that's slamming a Lord Vessel down at your butt, and then you defeat both of them, and then you fight Frieda again, and she can turn invisible and shoot dark spells at you. And if you die, you have to do every stage over again. And that is a really annoying boss fight that frankly requires too much sustained perfection for me to want to bother with it. And then there's Midir. So, and that's, that's the least of my complaints about Dark Souls 3. I feel like the environments are much more drab. I praised Bloodborne in the last stream for being more accessible and I think helping people to click with the series, but I feel like the aesthetic that it introduced with tons and tons of clutter was not an aesthetic decision that I particularly cared for, and Dark Souls 3 has all the clutter and some really just kind of bland, faded environments that I didn't care for. People praise the Cathedral of the Deep for being this great kind of interconnected level that loops back around itself, and it's the the quintessence of Dark Souls level design. But that's really the area where I started to feel like this isn't doing it so much for me. I'm not like super into this. And Dark Souls 3, I feel, is the most transparent about that form of level design. And you see it a little bit in... I mean, you definitely see it in Bloodborne. But Bloodborne has more open world than Dark Souls 3. So it kind of disguises it a little bit better. But there would be points in Dark Souls 3 where I'd look off to the side and see, oh, there's an elevator. I guess I'm going to loop back here again pretty soon. And I'd be waiting not for the next bonfire, but for the next elevator. And it's like I could see the code of how... Not the code, but... I could see how they were making the levels, and it became entirely too predictable in a way that it never was in Dark Souls 1. And just some really not great lore decisions. The final boss, if I'm allowed to spoil the final boss, is like trying to tug at Dark Souls 1 nostalgia, but also trying to be super epic and cool, have 2 health bars. And the final DLC retcons an aspect about Gwyn that is just, it's like fanfiction.net level kind of thing. Actually, there are 2. Well, there's one retcon related directly to Gwyn, and then one about Gwyn's firstborn, who was alluded to in Dark Souls 1. Do I want to go full Dark Souls 3 spoilers here? Because I could. So, here we go. I'm going to spoil some lore about Dark Souls 3. It came out in, 2016? It's okay. I'm going to do it, even though this is a Dark Souls 2 stream, so prepare yourself. Thing number 1. In Dark Souls 1, they alluded to Gwyn's firstborn quite a bit, how Gwyn's firstborn was exiled from the family, basically, for a horrible mistake and doing a dumb thing. And it's a shameful thing, and part of the effect of that is that there's very, very little information about Gwyn's firstborn, because he has been wiped from the records. In Dark Souls 3, you fight him, and he has lightning powers, and he rides a giant dragon bird. And in Dark Souls 1, people theorized, oh, is Solaire Gwyn's firstborn, and he, lost his memory and his powers, or maybe he didn't lose his memory, but he lost his powers. And now he's just super awesome in his own right, and he's incredible, even though he no longer has this connection to Gwyn's family. And it was never outright confirmed, but it was a possibility, and people really liked that possibility. But now you fight Gwyn's firstborn, and he has really cool hair, and yeah, it adds a level of concreteness to that story that a lot of people, including myself, didn't really appreciate. It felt like it was resolving a plot thread in Dark Souls 1 that was purposefully left unresolved in the original game. And then, in the Ringed City DLC, surprise, Gwyn had a 4th child that has never been mentioned before in the entire series. And she's a thing in this city that is a big deal. And it's like, just leave Gwyn alone. Let Dark Souls 1 be Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls, so, to encapsulate it in a very pithy way, Dark Souls 3 is a sequel to Dark Souls 1, whereas Dark Souls 2 is a spiritual successor to it, and ultimately feels much more like its own game, despite a couple of really tacky callbacks, like the gargoyles that we saw about a minute ago. Dark Souls 2 is a leaping off point from the themes of Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 3 is a retcon of many of the plot points of Dark Souls 1. Also, just mechanically, to really complain about Dark Souls 3 even more, I never felt like a lot of builds were viable. I started off, first time I played Dark Souls 3, I wanted to be a cleric. I wanted to be a paladin, specifically. I wanted to have a shield and a spear and miracles, and that was going to be who I was. I wanted to play that character. And eventually, the bosses that I was fighting required such a narrow window for me to hit them in, where it was safe to actually get a hit in, that the spear just wouldn't work as a weapon. It was just not a possibility. We could not use the spear. So I switched over to some Twin Blades. And then when I tried to replay the game, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do the Twin Blades. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to, like, I don't know, I'll do a... well, I don't want to do a big sword, because that's slow, and the problem I was having before is that the big sword's really slow, so I'm not going to do that. I'll try spells, but no, spells suck at the beginning, and they put a lot of investment in, and my second playthrough was exactly the same as the first. It feels like the build variety in that game, you know, it's programmed in, but it is not viable. Let's get that barbed club. And last complaint. The Fashion Souls in Dark Souls 3 is garbage. It sucks. It's terrible. There are, like, no good outfits. Fashion Souls in Bloodborne also isn't very good, but that's more the case of all the outfits look the same in that game. Dark Souls 3, there's a variety, and it's pretty much all terrible. Anyway, just to go back to the Solaire thing, Homer, I'm seeing your comment there. You know, I don't know if I bought the Solaire theory, but I like the fact that that plot point was open-ended. And I'd rather have that question not answered and have Solaire be a possibility that some people care for or like, rather than a, you know, I wouldn't want anything definite. I wouldn't want confirmation that it was Solaire by any means. That would be just as bad, I feel like. And I mean, I don't want to take away the fun that some people have theorizing, so. There's those gargoyles. And I freely admit, the presence of the gargoyles here is blatant fan service. But at least it's just like a Souls series fan service rather than Dark Souls 1 in particular, because the gargoyles in Dark Souls 1 were in and of themselves a remaster of the Man-Eater fight in Demon Souls. So it's more Souls tradition that I feel like isn't really necessary to maintain, but hey. Oh, am I gonna fight the... I guess I'm gonna fight the sinner in the dark. And... oh, I forgot about this thing. I'm just going to charge through. Come along, Luteal. Let's do the thing. Okay, maybe I should try Pyromancer Caterpie, but it really felt like the bosses in Dark Souls 3 were designed with such quick weapon attacks in mind that I either needed to physically improve my reaction time in a way that doesn't really work with how the human body works, or like switch to a different weapon. Whereas Dark Souls 2, I've never really had that issue. Dark Souls 1, I've never had that issue either. Yo, Lucatiel. Come on. Ben asks, favorite games of 2017. 2017 had some really, really excellent games. Obviously, Breath of the Wild came out in 2017 and was extremely good. I will say that Breath of the Wild is best on its first playthrough. I was replaying it on Master Mode once I got my Switch. And Master Mode, I think, just adds a lot of needless tedium to the combat, and the combat isn't quite tuned well enough for Master Mode to be satisfying or effective. But also the sense of discovery that is so inherent to that game's appeal is diminished on a second playthrough. But still, absolutely incredible 120-hour experience the first time through. Mario Odyssey was pretty good. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I know you were kind of struggling with that. I was coaching you on Snapchat, and I assume you gave up. A game that is flawed in pretty much every aspect, but I thought was very, very good and enjoyed quite thoroughly. So, what else came out in 2017 specifically? Because I played some Final Fantasy 15. I didn't finish it. That came out in 2016. What else? What are some other major releases of 2017? Samus Returns was a solid game. It was not exceptional, but it was a solid game.
You have acquired the soul of an old one. That is not...
Hedgie says, Breath of the Wild will eventually overstay its welcome. Sadly, too much content just felt samey. I definitely feel like there was, I don't want to say a lack of ideas, but I will say it. They ran out of ideas for shrines. They didn't have 120 ideas. There were far too many just combat shrines. I feel like this is something a lot of people say, but a Majora's Mask style sequel that still has, a sizable area to explore and discover, but a much more in-depth side quest system that really has you traversing every single inch with purpose, not just running around with the Korok mask, would be very, very good. And I think, Majora's Mask had a certain amount of non-linearity when it came to its side quests. So I feel like this is Breath of the Wild engine or style game could help enhance that non-linearity. Can I stab? Mario Rabbids, I didn't play. Cuphead, I didn't play. A Hat in Time, I have not played. Cuphead, I feel like, is where that well, I mean, it was happening with Dark Souls, but Cuphead is where that hard game difficulty and accessibility debate kind of sprang up again. And I had no interest in it, in part because it didn't cater to its lower skilled players in the same way that Celeste did. Celeste is a fucking hard ass game, and even though I had no intention of using that assist mode, the fact that it was there encouraged me to buy it, and that did not happen with Cuphead. Let's see. Yeah, and Mario and Rabbids, I do intend to play at some point. And Hat in Time, I will probably play at some point. I'm really sad that's not coming to Switch, though. Where do I want to go? Where should I go? Go to the woods. Go to the... I guess the next step is probably the Huntsman's Copse, right? Is this lighter? That's lighter. Wow. So I will note now, because it'll bug me if I don't say anything. I did mess up on the build for this character. In my original file, I used a slightly bulkier body build, whereas this was just the default size. I don't know if anyone's actually going to notice, but just wanted to make that clear that I did make that mistake and I am aware of it. Homer asks, so you're going to grind after this playthrough to catch up with your videos? I imagine you'll be notably lower with the pace you're going at. Yes, I do intend to grind souls so that I get to the same stats I was at. Which, you know, that's not too hard to do, especially with, like, the Covenant of Champions, if I want to do that. I need money, or I need souls to go into the copse, so I guess I'm going to go into the forest. Shaded Woods. I'm probably going to keep going for about 20 minutes here, then it'll be my bedtime. This is... This is the way I want to go. I was just thinking, oh no, is this the way back to the things betwixt? But no, it's not. You know what I could do? I could go get that hat. I'm gonna go get my hat. Oh, one side quest I should continue is Ben Hart of Jugo. Ben Hart with the glowy sword. Because I think if I talk to him regularly, I can summon him for the final boss, and I want to make sure I can do that. Yeah, what else came out in 2017? I was so focused on the Switch that I've forgotten about most other things. Persona 5 I didn't play. I heard it's good. Nier Automata. I have not complained about Nier Automata. I did not really care for Nier Automata. A lot of people said that it was this amazing, transformative, emotional experience. You know, Jim Sterling on the podcast was like, okay, that final ending, that decision that it gives you, is what proves video games as an art form, and I played it. It had some good moments. Gameplay was pretty repetitive. Combat wasn't very interesting. The interesting decision at the end of the 5th ending was not worth the slog to get there. It was okay. Music's pretty good. I mean, so the combat, maybe I would have enjoyed it more if I had ever really cared for a Platinum game. I played Metal Gear Rising. Thought it was alright. Never really got into Wonderful 101. Maybe if I enjoyed Platinum Combat more, I would enjoy Nier Automata more. But, like, the whole second playthrough that you have to do, God, really repetitive and boring, especially when you go into a minigame every 5 seconds. Yeah, some cool moments. Oh, crunchy. But yeah, by the end of Nier Automata, I was like, can this be over already? I want to get to this amazing decision at the end that apparently is really, really good, and it was pretty good, pretty interesting, I guess. But also, I feel, without spoiling the end of Nier Automata, I feel like it's a decision that has a lot more weight if you enjoyed putting time into the game, which I did not. Also knowing that it's not the first time Yoko Taro has done something like that in one of his games, it's like, well, I guess he's just doing this again. Am I human right now? Oh, am I gonna get invaded? I hope not. I am, I think, though. So Jim Sterling, I don't always agree with him on, like, the quality of video games. Like, I love Breath of the Wild, and he thought it was alright. And, you know, fair shakes. We didn't have the same opinion on 2 games now. But I follow him for industry news mostly, and like industry commentary. But listening to his podcast, you get some of his opinions on games. So, all right, Dennis. Let's see if we can do battle in a good way here. Nice. I mean, yes, Jim Sterling did give Yooka-Laylee a 2 out of 10. I probably wouldn't do that. I'd give it a 2 out of 5 because I score things out of 5. And I thought it was kind of bland and not really worth continuing. Okay, so I got the hat. I should put that on immediately. Yes. I was probably rocking this look for a while in the playthrough, right? And yeah, looking at this, I don't think I would be able to tell that I chose a different body build. But who knows? I mean, so Ben says that 2 out of 10 is like Superman 64 territory. I'd probably put Superman 64 at a 1 out of 10. Just because it's a failure on a design level and a technical level. Yooka-Laylee, mostly fine on a technical level. It was really the design where it fell apart. Oh, and I think I have enough souls to open up the Huntsman's Copse, so that's where I'll head. And I mean, for Yooka-Laylee, you have to kind of keep in mind the expectations that were placed on it. A lot of people had very high expectations for it because they loved the Banjo games back in the day. Whereas, really, I only liked one Banjo game. So, I had a certain expectation that they would fall into their later habits. So the fact that it drew more from Tooie and Donkey Kong 64, which are the bad ones, didn't surprise me, and thus didn't disappoint me quite as much.
Go ahead. May the power of miracles be with you.
Oh, I never did the
I'm interested.
the Dark Diver Grandel or whatever his name is. Didn't do that exploration into the Abyss side quest, which I think I was saving for towards the end of the series, so I'll keep that in mind as something to do. Yeah, so Ben brings up that scores in and of themselves are kind of arbitrary, which is definitely true. They're, you know, in part based on the individual biases of the reviewer, which technically I have a 5-point scoring system when I'm rating things, but I prefer to use words to describe those tiers, which is like, a 1 is, this was fucking garbage, a 2 is, I didn't really care for this, a 3 is, it's alright, 4 is, it's pretty good, 5 is, that was fucking awesome. And I find that those more general descriptors tend to be more helpful for me. Which is why Jurassic World and Mad Max Fury Road are both 5 out of 5s for me. Because they were both fucking awesome in their own way, even though one has a lot more artistic merit than the other. Forgot about that guy. Whoopsie-doo. So yeah, with my scoring system as such, I think Mario Odyssey was pretty good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Where Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a severely flawed game with problems about basically every single one of its systems, and I fucking loved it. So, Mario Odyssey would be a 4. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was a 5. Mario Odyssey was, on a technical level, far better executed. Mario Odyssey never has the lows that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 does. But it also never reaches the same highs. Get out of here. Do I need to go over to the Executioner's Chariot at all for anything? So I think that might technically be a separate area. I forget. Thank you for doing the research for me, Hedgie, by the way. Let's continue. I think I'll probably get up through the skeleton lords here, and then we'll call it a stream. Hopefully that won't be too rough. There's a switch in there, I think, but there is a trap. Okay, everything seems skippable until Earthen Peak is the word I'm getting from my researchers. So I will take that as gospel. I think the only things in terms of specific items I need are like Estus Flax shards, obviously, but the Black Steel Katana, which is in the Sunken Iron Keep is what it's called. And then certain parts of my outfit. So like the Desert Pyromancer dress and whatever frickin' gloves I was using. And then I think my top was also from Iron Keep. It was bought at the guy at the place. I think I probably had the Desert Sorceress's gloves as well, if I remember right. Gloves were always something I struggled to remember, so. Loving this Uchi. Yeah, I could get the skirt in Harvest Valley. I remember I got it in Drangleic Castle in my original playthrough. I cannot remember if that was a guaranteed drop or just some absurd luck. Might have been absurd luck. Alright, let's do this thing. This is another one of those fights where I gotta manage a whole lot of enemies coming from a whole lot of places. So, it's gonna be to my advantage to be patient. Yeah, there's all those guys. My hastiness that has gotten me this far will not be useful. Is that all the little dudes? I think it is. Next wave. Here we go. Golly, that's a lot of them. It'd be great if I had a really wide blood swing, but I don't think that's in my moveset right now. But at least I can one-shot these. I think that's all of them. So, next up is the bone wheels. Ha! Alright. That takes care of the skeleton lords. We are heading out into Earthen Peak. Is that right? So for as slowly as I go through the game in my playthrough, recording, re-recording, grabbing every single item, talking to all the dialogue NPCs. When you know the game, you can blaze through it. Alright. Harvest Valley. Forgot. Harvest Valley. Let's exhaust her dialogue.
I came in I've searched every nook and cranny.
And let's head back to Majula, level up, and that will be our stream. Right on time. Yeah, my bedtime is 8:30 Pacific is when I start washing up and whatnot. So, I think a 2-hour stream, not bad. Got some good progress done here. Had some good chats. Yeah, I'm starting to do... I don't think I can level anything up right now. Double check. I'm not going to level that thing up. Not going to level the bow. At some point, I'll probably need to go back to the Bastille and to kill all those pursuers and get their Twinkling Titanite. But I'll do that once I'm way overpowered and it won't be a challenge. Alright, so in the next episode, we will take on Harvest Valley, Earthen Peak, maybe get all the way through Iron Keep. That would be a little ambitious. But we'll see how it goes. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. And then I'll awkwardly change the scene here and end the stream. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.